player power. The transfer window's just closed. We saw some fascinating moves from Wilfried Zaha putting in a transfer request and it becoming public and not getting the move, to someone like Romelu Lukaku clearly doing everything to try and make that move happen, and it finally does. It feels like more than ever before, if you're a player, you want to control your own destiny. Do you both think that from the days when you were sort of asking for a move and if it didn't happen, you'd take a step back and accept that, that it's just changed now and players just feel if they want something, they can go and get it?
Yeah, there's player power, but I'm not against it. I think if you're in the player and the agent's camp, you have one view, and if you're in the club and the supporters camp, you have another view. And I think that as a player, if you don't get the chance to fulfill your ambitions, or you feel you're not getting paid a certain amount that you feel you should be getting, you just want to go to a new club and explore something different, and you feel that you should be allowed to. Because on the other hand, if you're not playing well enough, or the club feel that they can find a better option, they will do it, and they'll find it, and they'll be ruthless with it. So as a player, I understand it. I, fortunately enough, wasn't ever put in a position where I needed to go in and all guns blazing, but trust me, if I needed to, I would have.
What's the closest you got to doing that?
At Leeds, I went and sat in Mr. Ridzal's office and just sat there and waited for about 5.5, 6 hours and said to him, I'm not going until you sort out a deal for me to go to
Hold on,
United.
So that's not going in all guns blazing, no?
Well,
that's the softly approach, is it?
Because I didn't go public.
Right.
So
right.
I didn't need to go. We got to a compromise. We got to a situation where he felt he was getting the right part of the deal, and I got my opportunity to go to Man United. But I was adamant I wanted to go because I felt that was the right time and right move for me. If he had said no and really had just put a firm wall up, I reckon I probably would have gone public with that, because I just feel that as a player, it's a short window in terms of being able to be successful and to have a career, 10, 15 years if that. So you've got to make decisions that are sometimes going to be a little bit selfish. And as a fan and as a football club, I understand you might not understand that, but it works both ways.
And it does work both ways, because from the club will be quick to push the narrative of the player being a mercenary, or the player not having no feeling for the club. But like Rio said, it's a short career. And also on the other side of it, if the club sign a player and it doesn't work, or they have a change of policy, they want to go in a different direction, clubs have been known to mess players about, do things. So it does go both ways. The people I feel sorry for in all of this is the fans, because they come and they pay their money on a Saturday and they want to know that everyone in the squad's committed. I mean, I can only talk from a personal point of view. I've had good moments in my career, I've had bad moments, but whenever I stepped out on the pitch, however I felt, I always gave everything. So I think with the Zaha situation, a lot will be seen how does he perform? Is he committed? And I'm sure he will. I mean, I don't know the lad, but I hear good things about him. But it goes both ways. Clubs are pulling in one direction. They've got their own narrative. And I think the first time as well, which is another thing different from our time, is where social media is so big. Players have got a platform. So if the players have got the it's easy for them to put it out on Twitter or Instagram or do something they know.
To go back to Wilfried Zaha, I knew him from his time at Manchester United. I think he's handled it the right way from a player in today's game, because he's made it clear to the club privately, I want to go. If it's that club, if it's that money, why can't I go?
It's not just privately though, is it? Because wait.
But they said no, and then he said, actually no, he's made it known publicly now that I put a transfer request in and I want to go there.
And you think that's okay?
Because I think that he's given Crystal Palace a good service and they're getting a massive amount of money for him. But I do believe that he's got the character that before he put that transfer request in, the fans know he was given his all for Palace. He come through the system there, and they know now. I think they'll still take him back with open arms, because they know what he can give them, and they know the type of person he is, that he will be committed to that football club when he goes out on the pitch.
Well, I mean, Roy Hodgson has already spoken about it. He said, look, I can't say he's jubilant. And the words being bandied around after the transfer window closed on Thursday night about Wilf was about rehabilitation, trying to sort of bring him back into the group and get him inspired again, because this is the problem for football clubs and football fans. The player is the one real commodity in the game, and if they just decide, I'm going to down tools, I'm going to hand in a transfer request, it leaves them in such a difficult position as a football club. Yeah. So you almost feel when a player really wants to go, you have to let them now, because they will create issues. I'm not saying that Wilfried Zaha will, but it's a difficult challenge now for Roy to get him.
I think it comes down to communication.
Flying.
I think if you look at Manchester United years ago, I don't want to harp on about Man United, but I will, because I was there for this time. Cristiano Ronaldo was the best player in the world, wants to leave Man United. Then it's down to the manager and the club to have that conversation, communicate, actually cajole, give us another year. give us another year, and they come to some form of agreement. Yeah, okay, everyone's happy. I get another year, but you guarantee me I'm going to go. I'll do that. That's negotiations. That's part of football clubs. What should happen within the clubs. Pogba, I'm sure, from what we've heard in the media, he may want to go. His agent's putting it out there that he wants to get off. I'm sure Ollie's had the conversation with him. Listen, give us at least a year. Let's see how you do this year. Let's get back to the situation next year or in the January window. But that's what you call negotiations. And I think you, as a club, you try not to. I would, if you're in a club, try not to let it get to the position where fans are having to pick sides, player or club, or just try and keep everything as in-house as you can and finish the situation as quick as possible.
Yeah. In all fairness, like every case is different. Like you're saying, with Lukaku's situation at Man United, I feel that's a situation where the lad wants to leave, and I think Ollie probably wants him to go as well because he wants to go a different direction. So then it becomes a case of communication. It'd be great in an ideal world to have the conversation where Ollie goes, listen, you're not part of the situation, but if he does that, then the valuation goes down because his agent's going, they want him out. So it's all about money at the end of the day because Man United are trying to sort of half pretend that we'll keep him, he'll stay with us, trying to get a higher bidder. Lukaku's thinking if I don't ask for a transfer request but I let it know that I am, then I'm going to keep more of the money on my side of the budget. Every case is different. In an ideal world, they'll all sit around the table, sort it out and then agree on it, but it's all played out in the media nowadays and it can get messy. So you have good examples where people do it right and they do it with dignity and integrity, and you have other examples where it seems to be like you have players turning up in different teams' kits and training and you know, you think to yourself, you know, that's subliminal messages putting out there things. So
yeah, it's like Maguire. Look at Maguire. He always wanted to go Man United. Man United come knocking. He's at Leicester. He's going to want to go. He never said one word. Never said a word.
Exactly.
Wasn't nothing
it's a
put out
great
there.
example.
And he's
Leicester
got his
get
wish.
the money.
He's got his wish.
He gets the move.
It takes longer than he probably would have liked, but in the end, he gets his move. So there are good and bad examples.
There's a really interesting quote from Frank Lampard this week, and obviously David Luiz was the big mover at the end of transfer deadline day from Chelsea, and that felt like manager power. You know, Frank maybe thinking he wasn't right, but Frank said, "I want players with player power. I want strong players," and this is the difficult thing at a football club. You're trying to marry up really driven, really aggressive, really creative people that want the best for themselves, for their teammates, and for the football club when they're there. But if you have those sorts of people, you will naturally end up in these kinds of situations as well, because these people are winners.
But then you need a strong manager.
You need a strong manager, and you need to know where you are as a club. Like Man United and Chelsea will have these great, driven, aggressive players for longer because they've got the opportunities to win things. When you're at a club like Leicester, in all fairness, as soon as Harry Maguire develops into that level where the Man United's coming knocking, you have to sort of think to yourself, you know, for the kid's sake, he's got to go to Man United. Do you know what I mean? So every club's got to play it differently, and it is messy, and it is in the public nowadays.